What's up? This is a guide for map 24. It's a difficult, techy kind of track with lots of slides. To further understand the run after playing the map for a bit, I looked at the top 10 records to see what they do. At the start, the road curves away under the car, which causes you to lose traction temporarily. This can be avoided with a quick left-right steering combo, which reduces the curvature by traveling at an angle. Letting the car get up onto wheels also helps because a path that would usually lead to airtime now lets you touch the ground anyway. This gains roughly 10 speed. We need to set up on the left half of the road and air brake the first jump to land evenly, but not the second one because it's too short. Now comes a rather long turn. There are a variety of different ways this can be driven, so I will try to generalize a bit. You need to set up going to the right and air brake the first part of the jump. After bouncing, the front will come back down because the rear impacts the road harder. The earlier you brake tap, the steeper the car will be on impact, which causes the front to come down more after the bounce. Another air brake follows whenever the car has a good amount of angle, which allows us to delay the turn-in a little bit to avoid the first grass patch. Now, 1 or 2 brake taps before the checkpoint follow, and ideally the rest of the turn requires no releasing or braking. If it does, you will probably lose some time, but in the top 10 there are multiple runs that did it and they didn't lose that much. Let's compare Seppi to Pustito Paco. You can see Seppi starts more straight, which leads to a rather wide entry, and he is way behind at the first checkpoint. Then however, the additional speed almost lets him catch back up. So I think both lines can work out for you, but if you enter wide, you will always think you are way behind on the first checkpoint when you get your split. The sausage block at the exit takes a bit of getting used to. Exit far on the left and steer right before dropping off. The angle of the road lets you take the next turn full speed. You will get a small amount of airtime, which none of the top 10 managed to avoid. After the checkpoint comes an engine off block. To skip this, I recommend using the shadows before the jump as a guideline. Start steering full right a little bit after liftoff to land in a slide and then tap brake to extend it. I found that setting up a little bit more to the left makes this a bit easier to get. Just be sure you are going pretty much straight to land in the correct region. Now comes a rather difficult bit. We go over a crest that would make your car fly off if we took it at full speed, so we have to slow down. The most popular approach involves setting up as far to the left as possible and releasing throttle ahead of the lights before the righting, while heading diagonally to the right. You can get back on throttle before the top of the hill. Now we steer left as early as possible and take a tight exit to make our way through the checkpoint. New prime slides instead of releasing, but it seems slower, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you find it significantly easier. After a slide, we drop onto black asphalt. There are multiple lines to take here. The safer road is to go way on the left and drop while steering right. If done correctly, this sets you up to get around the turn full speed. A faster way to go is to stay low and land at an angle that has you drop your right tires off the platform. Your car now gets pulled around the corner, allowing you to take a tight turn at a higher speed than what would be possible otherwise. This is only worth it because the edge is made of plastic, which means collisions don't take away any speed. No matter which line you take, the water bounce can be taken while steering with action keys 2 or 20% steering angle. If we offset the two runs so that they're at the same spot before the drop, you can see the massive gain this gets you. I think you lose roughly 0.3 seconds by taking the slower route, and 9 out of the top 10 players take the faster way. Now we have wet tires and are heading towards a really tight turn. To get this, you just have to slide normally at first and then potentially release throttle to avoid overshooting. I found it made a big difference to release steering shortly in the middle of the corner, else you don't use all the road available to carry speed. Also, you want to be as far right as possible on entry. That puts us on a dirt part where an upshift can cost you time if you don't stop steering for it. To get the next asphalt section, tap brake shortly while still on asphalt to get a small slide and then just hold left through most of the turn. Offsetting Pusti Tobacco slightly at the start of the turn shows that Cabby's white line is a bit faster to the next asphalt part. The reason for this is that he has to tap brake for a much shorter duration, which lets him enter onto grass at a higher speed. Now, there is a small jump where we use the tree and checkpoint to align ourselves. If you have good speed, you can go pretty much straight until you are back on asphalt, but if you are slow, you might want to jump a little bit to the left to avoid the hole. Now comes the last section of the map. We want a tight exit for this asphalt turn to get a good setup for the next slide on the sausage block. A small brake tap with minimal airtime should be enough to get this. We land somewhere left of middle and use the bump to initiate a slide to get around the next turn without releasing or flying off. Now we get over the black asphalt and get into this difficult turn into hairpin into upshift before plastic combination. You want to land far left to reduce the amount of time spent sliding. Then you just kind of need to have a feel for when and how much to tap brake to get your car into the hairpin in a way that allows you to exit full speed. With a good line, you can get the upshift before the plastic, which is crucial to getting the ending without landing on the horizontal bit, which would lose you lots of time. The ramp is a bit blind, but the angle we take actually matters quite a bit. Look at how high Pusti Tobacco flies because he took a slightly steeper approach and had a slightly higher speed. Without this, Maui's run might have not been faster. Right before the finish, the pros use the straight at the end for a couple of wiggles to boost their speed a bit further. Alright, this map was rough for me because it is long and quite hard. I hope this helps somebody anyway. See ya.